Hi, it's Paul, and today I'm an old man once again with my Ferrex Aldi 500 watt bench drill, and I'm going to answer a question that was left in the comments on the last video, the one about resolving the issues or improving the issues on the play in the slide. Coriel Tavi, assumed pronunciation, left in the comments a question or a comment saying that he'd got one and the laser wasn't fitted to it. He'd got the laser and he'd looked at it a couple of times and he just wasn't sure how it all went together. So initially this video was just going to be about answering that question. Laser, drill. But as a result of setting up the video and preparing to make it, I tested it and I came up against yet more problems. So also this video is going to be about that. But let's deal with the laser first. So here is the laser. It has two laser units in it. They each have a little thumb turn screw, and they each emit what you might call a fan, I suppose. So instead of a single dot, a single beam and a single dot, the beam comes out in a fan shape and emits a line on whatever it touches. I'll show all that in a moment. And by using those lines, if you rotate the laser heads to get the lines to move, you can set them to the center point of the drill. It's all very good. So let's look at how it, let's look at what the components are first. So there's the block itself in the middle, and then each of the lasers is in like a little thumb screw, a bit like a cable gland type thing where you can move it, slide it up and down and rotate it. I don't see any benefit in sliding it up and down, to be honest, but the rotation is useful. So that's that twice. On the one end you have a battery casing that takes two AA batteries, and on the other end you have the switch to switch it on and off. So in the middle of it there's a herald, and you have a crosshead machine screw that screws into it countersunk, and on the back you have a little locating pin, and it fits up here behind the spindle area. There's a hole which I'll show you a photograph of. There's two holes, one rearward, which is the location point for the spigot on here, and the forward one is the hole where the machine screw threads in. So very easy to fit. And literally that is it, it's in place. And I don't know if you can see on that camera, but I shall put another camera behind here. So you switch it on and it emits the two lines. If you turn either of the lines or either of the laser units, you can rotate the lines and you can get them to cross at the point where the point of the drill is. So what I'm going to do to demonstrate the setup of it a little better and there you can see the lasers coming on and off. Well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this piece of laminate flooring on top of the drill table, and we'll mark the position of the centre of the drill on the top of that. What I've done, I've put some bits of double-sided sticky, this nano tape stuff, which is brilliant. It's this non-damaging stuff. I'll put a link to it in eBay, and we'll just put that there for the moment. Make sure it doesn't move about, and that's fabulous. So if I move the drill table up a little, so that we are within reach of the stroke of the drill, what we can now do is put a mark where the centre of the drill is on the laminate, because by pressing it down it just puts a little indent in. And then what I can do is I can move, rotate each of the little thumb turn bits and line it up with the centre point. So when I did this the other day, I thought, oh yeah, fabulous, that's brilliant. And then I undid the drill table and moved it upward. In fact, what I'll do is I'll take the drill out because it illustrates it even better. So that's the drill bit out. And if I move the table up, and I'll just lift this up in the hope that you can see it. So now the indentation is over here, and the cross point of the lasers is over here. The table hasn't stretched or contracted. It's still the same distance from there to the pillar. So the dot is still in the same place. Nothing on the head up here has moved. So the laser is still crossing over in the same place, and yet the centre is no longer the centre. If I drop it to the bottom, it's as far down as it will go. Just lower the camera down again, and hopefully now you can see the point is over here and the cross is here. So something's not right. And initially I thought, and it still could be the case, initially I thought, right, okay, so if the laser is pointing in like a sheet, if it's not absolutely vertical, the sheet will be over there, and that will probably make a difference, because if it's dead upright, then the cross will always be in the same place. Whereas if it's canted off to one side, then the cross will move as you move the table up and down. So I thought, that's not too bad. All I've got to do is try and figure out a way of making it vertical on the lasers. But just to check, I thought I would measure to make sure that the drill does actually run parallel to the shaft, because if it doesn't, we've got an issue. So what I've done now is I've got my large verniers, and I've gone to the back of the column, and I've gone to the front of the drill bit. And yes, I know that I've put the vernier too far forward, and it's in the recess on the top, on the bottom tooth, but that's not really of interest, and I could be a little inaccurate with how horizontal it is, but that is tight to the front of the drill bit there. And yet if I move it up to here, got a good 1/8 of an inch, 3/16 of play. So what does this mean? Well, effectively, this means that it doesn't matter what I do with the lasers. This does not run parallel with this. It cants inward because it's tight at the bottom and loose at the top. So, if you like, the drill head is drooping down. Which is all very well, but there is no adjustment. There's no back and forth adjustment on here. So, what does it mean in real terms? In real terms, it means that if I drill through something thin, a piece of laminate, a thin bit of plastic, it won't make the slightest bit of difference. Even if I go up to something like that, especially drilling in wood, it's not going to make that much difference. The amount of angle, which is probably 2 degrees, something like that, I could probably figure it out. If I made the pillar vertical with a level and then put the same level on the drill bit, I could see how many degrees out it is. I'm not that bothered, to be honest. But as I say, if I was drilling through a bit of plywood, it's not going to make that much difference. If I'm drilling through something a little thicker, then it potentially is going to make a difference, because I'm going to have a run out of true of 1 millimetre or so between the top and the bottom. It's not going to be a vertical hole. In absolute truth, with the sort of work I do, is it going to matter? Generally speaking, no, because most of what I do is in sort of thin plywood and stuff. I do some engineering stuff, but even then, most of that is in like 1/4 plate or 1/8 plate or whatever. So it's not particularly. But the thing is, it's not right. So at the end of the day, the accuracy is, well, it isn't there. There is no accuracy. So if you include the amount of wobble you get on the shaft still, even though I've adjusted it as good as I can, if you include that and the potential for it being sort of anything up to 1/4 of an inch out of line over that distance, and you're not going to drill over that distance, the most you can drill is going to be limited by the amount available between the table at the bottom position and the bottom of whatever drill bit you're using, and the length of the drill, and blah 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 blah. But it's still not right. Could I do anything about it? Well, yes, I could. I could take the head off the drill. I could relieve the back of it, grind out the back at the bottom of the collar, and jack it up and put some sort of adjustment in the front of the collar, maybe another grub screw like this or something. I could do that. I could cut around the welds that secure the collar to the base of the head and then jack it up and re-weld it. I could take the whole thing into work and go at it with the gas torch and warm that up and just bend this section, because I'm never going to have the drill table higher than there, because that's the bottom of the chuck. So I could use that section there and bend it, and that would probably actually be the easiest solution. Or I could even take a hacksaw, cut nearly all the way through the tube so that I get the thickness of the hacksaw or a cutting disc or whatever, and then it would, if I cut it through from the back towards the front, I could then push the drill head up and it would close the gap, and again I could adjust it, and I could get it a lot more accurate. But I'd be absolutely honest, much like I said with not bothering to change the chuck, I'm not going to, because I don't use it enough to make it relevant. And if I was going to do that much work, or if I wanted something that accurate, either I'd have someone do it for me, or I'd take it into where I used to work and there's a better pillar drill there. So there you have it. As I say, I'm not going to do anything with it. I'm going to leave it like that. To go back to the laser for a moment, though, what I will say is, because remember that it could still be the case that even if I straightened it all out, the laser still wouldn't be right. But again, on that, I'm really not bothered because I don't use it. I've never switched it on since day one. I'd put it all together on day one, switched it on. Yeah, that works. That's great. Fantastic. Never used it. I have grown up since probably, I don't know, age 10 or 11 or something around that, marking drilling locations with a centre punch, a dot punch, whatever you want to call it, drilling with a pilot drill, drilling with a bigger drill, from small stuff down at like 1/8" drill bits, 30-second drill bits, right the way up to drill bits kind of well in steel. I've probably used drills up to about 40-50 mil on a big industrial machine, and I've never done anything different. Dot punch the hole or the location of the hole, go at it with a pilot drill, then work your way up with bigger drill bits, and you end up with the hole in the right place. Plus the fact you've got a lot more stability. If you go onto a big industrial machine, you've got slide tables and all the rest of it. You can wind the drill head backwards and forwards. You can move the table from side to side, which you can do on this, but you can do everything much easier and much more accurately, incrementally adjusted. Blah 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 blah. That is not this. So, do I use the laser? No. Would I use the laser? No. I don't use them on the saws. All the saws that I've got them on, I've got a D-Walt mitre saw with it on. Don't use it. No, tell a lie. I've got a Metabo mitre saw with it on. Don't use it. I've got a little Erbauer multi-material saw with it on. I took it off that because it just got in the way. So I genuinely don't use them. I've grown up before, not before lasers were invented, possibly, I don't know. But I've grown up without using that kind of thing. I've grown up old school, if you like, and fair play to everyone who has grown up using lasers. Brilliant, because the technology's there, why not use it? But in this instance, I ain't going to bother. The whole thing is so inaccurate that bringing laser point accuracy to it is just not going to do it. So, apologies, long rambling video. Little bit annoyed about all this because, well, just because. So if you've made it this far, thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.